Hi, I'm Kousik. I'm the founder of Swasthya Technologies Private Limited, which is a highly patient-centric healthcare digitization platform. And I'm also a visiting faculty and I teach practical applications of deep learning. So before I go any further, let me just demystify some terms so we are all on the same page. Right? So if you classically look at the evolution of AI or so-called AI technologies over the years, you have primarily three terms, which is AI, that is artificial intelligence, you have machine learning, ML, and then you have deep learning, which is DL. Now, deep learning is when you have actually multi-layered neural networks that have the ability to learn from vast amounts of data, and then machine learning is actually a set of the algorithms where the performance of the algorithms improves as they get exposed to more and more data over time. And if you look at AI, right, the definition of AI, that's basically any program that can sense, reason, act and adapt. And if you see these terms, DL is a subset of ML and ML is a subset of AI. Right? So now that we have got this terminology out of the way, let's focus on the core of AI. The core infrastructure that is required for AI is, number one is you need access to structured data, and you need faster computers, and you need neural network architecture advancements. Now, if you see, right now we are at a very unique cusp in time where these three have sort of come together and formed just that right equilibrium to be able to further advancements in a variety of fields. It could be agri-tech, automotive, your fintech, your health tech, your retail, legal tech, entertainment, and so on. It all boils down to how well you can leverage the power of deep learning to solve your business problems. Now, AI is data hungry, so the more data you feed, the better is going to be your outcome. And at the same time, one should always remember that it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you feed in inconsistent, incomplete, or inaccurate data, you're not going to be happy with the outcome. And even if your data is right, but if your algorithms are faulty, then also the outcome is going to be bad. So essentially what it boils down to is you need vast amounts of accurate data coupled with the correct algorithms to be able to derive the full benefits of AI. Now, let me just explain that with some examples. You just take, for instance, agri-tech, right? If you take agri-tech as an example, right, you have precision agriculture where AI algorithms and machine learning can actually be used to analyze the data from various sources like your drones, your sensors, your imagery, and this helps basically the farmers to be able to make more data-driven decisions in for instance, regarding crop management. It could be irrigation, fertilization, or pesticide use, and ultimately you are able to improve your crop yields, you are able to reduce the cost, and you are able to also optimize your resource utilizations. And the other thing in agri-tech is also smart farming, right? So you have AI-powered systems that can monitor environmental conditions like your temperature, your humidity, your soil moisture, your light levels, and it can provide real-time feedback to farmers. That's going to be very helpful also to increase their efficiency and to reduce the labor costs. And the other thing is also predictive analytics. By analyzing the historical data, the weather patterns, AI is able to help the farmers to be able to predict the crop yields. It's able to detect potential problems, and you're able to plan accordingly. And this helps them again to be able to reduce waste and improve their profitability. So for instance, if you see, AI-powered systems right now are able to predict the optimal time for planting and harvesting, and this is in turn going to be able to improve your crop quality, increase yields, etc. Now moving on to, for instance, a totally different domain, if you take automotive, right? You have self-driving cars. All of you, I'm sure, have heard about that. You have self-driving cars which use AI to be able to perform object detection and obstacle avoidance and learning and obeying the rules of traffic. And if you take navigation also, right? So that also uses AI to be able to find the fastest route by processing vast amounts of traffic data, and also real-time routing based on instantaneous traffic conditions. And if you take any of the ride sharing apps, right? So that also uses AI to be able to predict the real-time demand, and also give feedback to the drivers to basically maximize the utilization, and this in turn increases your passengers actually satisfaction, and it also increases the revenue for the driver. Now if you move on to fintech, right? So if you see in terms of fintech, the number one use where AI can, rather the number one area where AI can help is, for instance, fraud detection, right? So AI algorithms are able to analyze vast amounts of data. It's able to detect fraudulent transactions in real time. And if you see with respect to personalization, right, AI powered systems are also able to analyze the customer data, and it's also able to provide really personalized recommendations for various sort of financial products and services. And this in turn helps the customers to be able to make better financial decisions. And the other thing is also with respect to risk management. So if you see from a risk management standpoint, AI algorithms basically analyze this vast amounts of data to identify potential risks and to be able to predict future trends. And these can be with respect to lending or investment and risk management. And also it helps to automate all your underwriting processes, and then reducing the time and the cost involved in even, for instance, evaluating a loan application, for example. Now moving on to health tech. So AI is able to help in case of medical diagnosis, for instance, where AI algorithms can analyze medical images, could be X-rays, MRIs, CTs, ultrasound, etc., to be able to identify the anomalies and to also be able to actually predict, right, looking at the complete patient context, any potential health issues, etc. And by using deep learning, AI systems can continuously improve their accuracy and also speed in detecting the abnormalities, and this allows obviously for early detection and more timely treatment of illnesses. Now the other aspect is also the personalized medicine, because this is something which is I would say fairly new, because AI is able to analyze the large amounts of patient data, like your genetic information, your medical histories, your lifestyle factors, all of these, to be able to provide really personalized treatment plans. And this in turn improves the effectiveness of the treatment, and it reduces the risk of adverse side effects, and at the same time it's able to enhance your patient outcome. And it's also able to assist in the development of new drugs by identifying new potential drug candidates and optimizing those dosages. And if you talk about for instance healthcare operations, right, AI is able to actually predict the patient flow, is able to actually optimize your staff scheduling and reducing your wait times. This in turn, what happens is it improves the efficiency of your hospitals and clinics, and because efficiency is improved, it's also able to improve the patient satisfaction, and it's also able to reduce their costs. And the other thing is also new drug discovery, because AI, if you see, has had a very significant impact on drug discovery because it has been able to streamline your processes and it accelerates the development of new drugs. And there are a lot of startups in this field where AI algorithms basically analyze vast amounts of data from various sources to be able to identify the potential new drug candidates and drug targets. And it's also able to analyze the actually genomic and proteomic data, and it's able to create new drugs that are far more effective and have far fewer side effects. Now moving on to retail, right? So in retail, if you see, you have actually personalized shopping experiences that can be provided by AI systems, where it can analyze your customer data like your purchase history, your browsing behavior, your individual preferences, and it can actually provide you personalized recommendations and then shopping experiences. And the other thing is, from a business standpoint, it's also the inventory management, because it can help the retailers optimize their inventory management by predicting the demand for certain products and optimizing the stock levels. And the other aspect in retail would also be to be able to detect fraud and to be able to prevent it in time by analyzing, for instance, the transaction data or identifying certain suspicious patterns, etc. So now moving on to legal tech. In the area of legal tech, you have, for instance, contract reviews, analysis, and AI is able to automate the process of contract review, analysis, and all of this, and it's able to save time and it's able to reduce the errors. Now, legal research is another thing where it's able to assist the lawyers in conducting the legal research by analyzing the vast amounts of legal data that is out there. It could be relevant case law, it could be certain statutes, it could be certain regulations, and also predictive analytics. So to be able to better anticipate legal outcomes and make more informed decisions. Now moving on to, for instance, entertainment, right? You have content creation, you can have personalized recommendations, you have marketing and promotion, and these are all areas where AI, especially over the last few months, as all of you might already be hearing the various news. Content creation, right? It could be music, your movies, your video games. It can analyze your user preferences and all of that, and it helps content creators to basically tailor their offerings to the specific interests of their audiences, and this is also drastically reduced the content creation time. The other thing, now moving on to natural language processing, you have speech to text, you have text to speech with all your intonations, your accents, and then language translation, where AI can even understand the language nuances. You take your social media, right? Major social media networks that we all know about. We know that they use AI to be able to decide what content to present in their feeds to basically different audiences. And you have image recognition, you have sentiment analysis to ensure that the content of the appropriate mood is actually being served. It's also being used to be able to detect and filter out any objectionable content while showing something to minors, for example. And even your everyday device like your smartphone, right, the mobile camera, that uses object detection to determine when to take a photo, which photo to keep, which to discard, who are the people in the photo, and so on. So and also if you see some of the Google smartphones, they have this feature where, this has been there for the past few years, where they use AI to be able to determine if two photos of persons which are spaced a few years apart, are these the same person or not. So for instance, you could be having you could be having a 2-year-old child and then a 14-year-old child, and it could be the same child that has grown so on. So that is already there in your smartphone right now. And yeah, so also if you take for instance security, right, looking and analyzing the vast amounts of security video footage, AI systems are able to determine if a bag has been left unattended, for how long, and nobody has claimed it, and these sort of systems have the ability to save lives. So that's one the other areas. Now if you imagine the inventions of electricity, email, and internet, right, over the last few years, all of these inventions were major disruptors. In fact, AI is often referred to as the new electricity, right? And Geoffrey Hinton, who is from the University of Toronto, and he is considered to be the godfather of deep learning. And he says that if you want a system that has a lot of knowledge, in like an amount of knowledge that would take, for instance, maybe millions of bits to quantify, the only way you would be able to get a system with all of that knowledge in it is to make it learn it, and you're not going to be able to actually put that information in by hand, because the amount of information is so huge that you have to make the system learn it, and that's something which is going to be true as we have more and more data in the coming years. And I'm just reminded of what the Greek philosopher, that's Heraclitus, said, that change is the only constant in this universe, and those who adapt to this change surge forward while the others just fade into oblivion. Now if I take look at the startups' operational and strategic activities. Now we discussed a lot of domains. We talked about a lot of domains, and you can have a lot of startups in these domains which are actually solving real business needs. On the other hand, if you just take the startup ecosystem per se and just delve into a startup's operational and strategic activities, right? Operational, you could have legal, you could have financial, and you would have product innovation and sales, your marketing, your development, your privacy, your software development, hardware development, all of this. All of these areas, like how we discussed it, AI is able to make a big improvement and improve efficiency and at the same time reduce your costs. In fact, AI is able to help even in software development, where it can, for instance, recommend options to developers, designers, etc., and then to correct their mistakes and improve the systems early on. All right. And from a strategic standpoint, if you see, you have product, you have roadmap, you have your ethics, your decision making, your explainability and bias. And if you search, you will encounter tons of examples of startups and businesses that saw new value in leveraging the power of AI, be it in reducing costs or gaining a competitive advantage or improving the customer experiences. So what this means is that essentially AI is not a zero-sum game, right? As can be seen from the past, your inventions of electricity or email or internet has never been a zero-sum game. But while we have all of these nice benefits, one should also be aware of the risks. And what I want to just briefly highlight here is, deep learning as such is a black box, where this basically raises issues like your explainability, interpretability and trust, all of this. Even for the designers and the developers of deep learning, the underlying model is incomprehensible because it usually involves thousands, millions and billions of data parameters and connections between various neurons. So it is very difficult to explain how these connections interact and why the model makes certain predictions. So that is ultimately basically boils down to the explainability aspect. And while we all talked about the benefits of AI, there is also the other side, the dark side, which is the abuse of AI. So one could use facial recognition or image generation to be able to, for instance, create deep fake videos, and it could also be able to do facial recognition which basically intrudes into actually a privacy. And of course, there is always a fear that the AI systems are going to be replacing the human jobs. But if you see, right from the advent of electricity, right? Whatever system you were doing by hand, now thanks to electricity, it has not taken away your job. It has just made you much more efficient and much more productive. And also, if you see, change is the only constant. Again, I'm just going back to that. So change is the only constant. So if you are not going to be able to change, then no matter whether it's AI or anything else that comes by you, you would be left behind. So the other aspect is also the impact of AI on the environment, and then the usage of natural resources, and then pollution and waste and all of that. Because when you have even areas like, for instance, robotics, which is going to, for instance, exacerbate the pollution and the waste aspects, like accumulation of heavy metals, you will have toxic materials in the environment. As a parting thought, I urge you, and it doesn't matter whether you are a student, a startup, a business owner, or a professional, I just urge you to get onto this AI revolution and not be left behind. Thank you.